Now I'm just curious, Brian. What kind of perks come with President's Club, man? That just sound like official. like what do you get when you get awarded that?
Yeah, for this year, most recently, so we're going to Fiji, which is a very long flight. As an AE, I think being a top performing AE, you're usually able to 2.5 to 3.5x what you make as an SDR if you're successful, and if you're a top performer.
You said it's not about focusing so much on the goal, but it's focusing on the system behind hitting that goal. I love that. Family, what's up? It's Justin here with Tech Journey. I am here with my man, Brian LaManna, mid-market account executive. Looking forward to this conversation. We definitely going to take a pretty deep dive, really just into exploring the success. What is the personality behind the success? So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Brian, it is an honor to have you on Tech Journey, sir.
So excited to be here. I've been loving what you've been building with Tech Journeys and you and Atia, and just excited to be on it. So I appreciate you having me.
Oh man, for sure. So Brian, you have like 500% more connections than I do on LinkedIn. I mean, you have like a massive following, a platform, man. When I met you the first time, just so humble. And your age again?
26.
Yeah, I knew that. I just wanted you to say it for Journey family. 26 years old, man, mid-market account executive, man. So I'm excited about this conversation. We're going to jump straight into the first question. When you began your first day of work as a sales development representative, did you see yourself making it to the President's Club 4 times and also becoming prominent on LinkedIn? Now, first, you got to explain what the President's Club is, because I'm going to be honest with you, Brian. I don't even know what the President's Club is.
Yeah, we need to get you an invite to the club.
Come on, man.
Appreciate that intro. You're gassing me up here, and much appreciated. But in terms of what President's Club is, first off, for any aspiring sales folks out there, it's basically what each company sets as a threshold for what top performers are. So that could be the top 10%, the top 20% within your company. And some companies offer a certain reward if by end of year you are in that top 10% or you hit that $1 million mark, whatever it is that they line out for you. There's often like a trip or a prize or some sort of like commemoration for folks that make that. So it's a commonality among a lot of SaaS companies. Definitely not every company does it, but I've been fortunate to work for 2 that have.
Nice, man. Come on, man. So did you see yourself making it to that level when you first started?
I didn't even know what it was, right, until I started my first place as a sales development representative at Bright Edge in 2018. But the short answer is no. I mean, like most folks, I think I knew very, very little about tech sales. I feel like I kind of stumbled into it on accident. I always thought sales was intriguing. It's, you're talking to people for a living. You get to have great conversations with people like yourself and others out there. But I actually did an internship junior year. There was a sales internship with Anheuser-Busch, who people often know as like, Bud Light and, all the different beer brands, the 200 plus that fall within them. Sounds like a really great gig. I actually really disliked the internship. Nothing against the company, but it was more outside sales. So what I did was I visited stores. I, worked on displays. I did packaging, a lot of time in Excel spreadsheets as well. And it was no commission. It was very hours, no commission. So in a weird way, I think I'm very blessed that I had that opportunity in college to do the internship, because I really learned everything I didn't like about sales. I still saw different parts exciting and, made me want more. And a couple other folks did internships with tech companies like Salesforce and Google. And the more I heard from them, the more exciting it sounded in terms of the opportunity to move up in the company and, the work you put in as, the commission you get out, like that more aligned with kind of how I was thinking about in general. So
Yeah.
walked into a career fair. There's a nice guy named Sonny at a career fair, and walked up to him, knew nothing about the company, talked to him for 25 minutes, and ultimately led to getting an entry level role. And still didn't really know it was for me for sure until 3-4 months in, when I started really enjoying it and loving it. But it's amazing how much has obviously changed in the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow. So, all right, yeah, that's gonna be my next question. So, 4 or 5 years ago was when you first started, like as an SDR. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, now I'm just curious, Brian. What kind of perks come with President's Club, man? That just sound like official. Like what do you get when you get awarded that?
Yeah, for this year, most recently, so we're going to Fiji, which is a very long flight. I'm learning quickly. It's about like a 21-hour flight, but I'm going to Fiji upcoming, which I'm super excited about for I think 6 days, and get to bring a +1 as well. So beyond excited, I get to bring my girlfriend for that. But yeah, just an exciting trip, and of course something fun to put on your resume and kind of stand out as well.
Bro, so how long has you and your girlfriend been dating?
A little over 3 years. Are you trying to get
Oh,
that +1 spot to Fiji, Justin?
oh. Man, look, whoa, I'm like, your girlfriend got to be like some kind of proud, man.
Yeah.
Were y'all dating before, like when you hit the president's level on another occasion?
Yeah, great question. No, not yet. Or we were, but different trips have had like not a +1 invited versus having a +1 invited. So this will be the first one I get to bring her for as well. I'm super excited. She's actually in tech sales as well as a mid market AE as well
Really?
at Showpad. So a lot of
Really?
sales in the apartment and household per se. But yeah,
Brian, man, so you really make the tech dream come to life, man. And I'm serious, man, because we originally started this channel because we felt so highly about tech sales. You're able to work from home, make pretty good income, good culture. So to hear you, because I'm going to repeat it, just to hear you say that, 26 years old, you killing it in tech sales, and now you have a paid for trip to Fiji +1 for 6 days. I mean, that's tech journey. You hear that, man? So no, that's powerful, man. Tell us a little bit about like LinkedIn, because I know it's people who are viewing on different levels. Some people, if you're like me, I kind of not clueless, but just really wasn't into LinkedIn before going into like the professional world of tech. So you have somewhere around like 14,000 connections right now as of us recording this in March 2023. I mean, did you see yourself like building that type of following, that camaraderie? And I'm assuming, man, that you must offer a lot of value, right? Because people are not going to follow you like that on LinkedIn if it's not real value that they're getting. So did you see yourself coming into that, and just kind of what did that journey look like?
yeah, I think similar to my tech journey, I didn't necessarily envision that when I started off. And a lot of folks are surprised as well to hear that I actually had almost never posted on LinkedIn before July of 2022.
Wow.
So
So
my journey so far has been about 9 months. I think what like motivated me to start in the beginning was I certainly don't have it all figured out by any means, but I like to think that I've learned different experiences and different things that I would love to share with other folks, and different things that maybe didn't go how I wanted to in my career or my path, that I want to share different lessons and things like that. So it really started with just giving back and sharing a little bit about my journey candidly, joining Gong most recently, and being a seller and having to prospect and things like that, and what's made me successful and not successful. And I started small. I just started with posting about once per week. Slowly ramped that up to twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and now it's my goal to share one thing every workday, just one post, something
wow.
something actionable from something I do in terms of my role that others can pick up on, and is tactical enough that it's not just the fluff or other stuff out there as well. So
Right. No, for sure. No, I mean that's encouraging to know. By the way, hope you don't mind, but I'm taking notes of what you said. I might start incorporating a little bit of that.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So Brian, also I subscribed to a newsletter recently that you actually have. And so that's cool, man. Hitting that inbox in the email. And by the way, like if you're viewing, I am gonna have Brian's information to like his LinkedIn that'll be in the description. And I'm not sure if it's a way to put like the direct link to your newsletter in the description. But if it is, I'll have that in the description as well for those who are viewing. So like talk to us about the newsletter, man. Like how much time do you put into that? What kind of feedback do you get from people concerning that?
Yeah, I actually started that even more recently. So the way I kind of thought about it was LinkedIn posts are really great, but there's a cap to how much you can really write and explain and share because I don't want to write a post that you're just scrolling for days. So newsletters allow me to be a little bit even more like strategical and tactical in terms of advice for prospecting, in terms of how to run a call or discovery or really a host of topics that any seller would face. So I started that in December. It's not an insane amount of work because it's I use a little program to send out the emails on a weekly cadence and probably
Got
put
it.
an hour or two into that every weekend in terms of choosing just one piece of actionable sales advice to hit readers every Monday that they can read in a couple minutes or less. But
Nice.
yeah, it's been really fun and allows me to just expand on some of the ideas I share on LinkedIn in a little bit more of a in-depth way.
Yeah. Nah, that's awesome, man. And obviously it's real value with you, right? It's like, people who've been following my channel for some time. I mean, they know like I started this channel when before my wife and I ever had a job. So, a lot of what I posted before was speculation. And most of the time I said it was speculation, right? And then when I started building certain connections, I would just bring people on who were in tech and I would just let them talk about what tech really is. So yeah, man. I mean, so for you to produce the results that you have, I think that that's a gem for you to be willing to give that information and that value away. Um, for someone who's watching, they're thinking about getting into tech sales. And I get it. You're trying to make that decision. You watch video after video after video trying to figure out if it's for you. Like, what advice or what would you say to a person who's considering it and they're trying to figure out if this career is really a fit for them?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I would, in true sales fashion, I would flip it back on them and wanting to hear a little bit about what motivates them when they
Mm,
think about what they want to do in their career. And it doesn't have to be specific in terms of what you're tactically doing, but there's a lot of benefits being in sales, but there's also some drawbacks that I think you should consider in terms of like how you weigh certain aspects. I think one good example of kind of two stark different contrasts is something like commission being earned on a month to
mm,
month basis. What I earn as a seller can be very, very different, right? If I have a bad month here in March, my commission is going to be pretty low in April. If I have an
right.
amazing month in June, I could get a big check in July. So it's a lot more variance. It's a little less stability.
Mm,
When there's great times, like 2021 for selling was really, really excellent, right?
wow.
People were making and earning a lot more versus the last couple months, a little bit more of a down market. The Fed is tightening rates, all the stuff you hear in the news. It's
Right.
been tougher on sellers, and as a result, you're going to earn less money as well. So you have to be willing to ride a little bit more at the highs, ride a little bit more at the lows, and keep an even keel. If that sounds like it excites you as well as like just being able to put in the effort and like control your own destiny, like I think sales is really unique. It's one of those jobs like truly what you put into that week or that month is almost always what you get out, especially if you take a look at it over a longer time horizon, just in terms of effort and like uh, just what you're putting into the role. So for me, that's what I really love. Like that's motivating to me, where I feel like I'm really in control of my own destiny, and for
Mm.
better or worse.
No, I like that. Gosh, and I know we're going to get into this, but just to have the mindset of what you just said, being in control of your own destiny. And like And that sounds really good to the listener, but I mean, I know just from my own little experience that to really take control of your destiny, in a sense, that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work behind that. It's a lot of investment behind that, and but it's a whole lot of reward, behind it. But anyway, we got to get into that later.
I'll add one thing there actually. So I lived at home my first year out of college just with my dad in his place to save a little bit of money and build up some income and whatnot. And he used to play a game with me where when I would come home each day, he would guess how many meetings I sat like after like 20 or 30 minutes of just talking because he could just tell from my mood. I think those are some of the things you're not used to quite as much, like your first career and your first job. Or I would come home if I set 2 meetings that day. I'm riding a high. I'm super excited. I'm asking him about how his day was, and
Right.
and then I have a really tough day, and I'm want to sit on the couch and turn on the TV and don't want to chat and talk. So it's you wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit. I think that's also what makes sellers really good is they're really passionate and competitive, and a lot of them had sports backgrounds in high school or just competitive people in general. But it takes a little while to get used to as well, just in terms of the highs and lows. So it's a learning experience.
Brian, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but if you can just elaborate a little more on that about it taking a little while to get used to. So like that mental aspect, because I know for me, because I have this platform, I'm mindful a whole lot as to my actual emotions on the job. And I want to be sure that I'm articulating an honest response to the audience when I'm creating content, the positives, what would be, I guess, not really like a not positive, but the actual fight that's behind the success. And I know for me, Brian, like some days I'm just ready to take the headset off and just like go to the next activity. But I mean, I'm also like married with 3 kids, and I'm a full-time content creator, and and I have a SDR position too. So, but like, how did you navigate through that? Like early on, like what was that driving force that made you think like, okay, I'm not going to quit this and go do something else. This is like the position for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's important to recognize that like the highs and lows are a part of it and they're okay. You're not going to be perfectly even keel or things like that. It's more how to manage it. So for me, just a little like small trick I did as a seller was if I had a really tough day, if I just wasn't feeling it, one of those days where you want to take the headset off, like I would cut out a little bit early, maybe leave 30 minutes early, close down the laptop, not open it up that night, and like do what helps you recharge the batteries, right? Know yourself. Is that working out? Is that watching a favorite TV show? Is that hanging out with friends or talking with family? And just really using kind of a reset and then get up early the next day and get after it. Conversely, if I was having a great day, I had those, 2 meetings set, I'm feeling energetic. I'm like, I can't believe it's only, 4:45 p.m. I might stay and I would stay and spend an extra 30, 45 minutes calling on accounts that maybe were West Coast time because I'm here in Chicago. So I'd call people where it's 3 o'clock their time when they were still working, right? And I was trying to generate interest and set up meetings because I was feeling good and I was kind of riding the buzz from it as well. So that was just one small thing I did to kind of
Good.
navigate. Because I think when you've kind of hit that wall, it's not worth trucking on and trying to hit your head into the wall over and over. It's just you got to reset. You're a human as well, and get back at it the next day. Get up 10 minutes early and do your thing.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. And that's applicable to life, right? It's I know for me, I mean, again, starting this business, um how I conduct my home, how I conduct myself, it's reflective of every aspect. So even when it comes to like this SDR position, like it's about producing results, like at the end of the day, right? But at the end of the day, my objective is to build long-term wealth for my family. That is why I am doing what I'm doing. And nobody is going to build that wealth for me. So I have to find a way. And it's the same way, like what you're saying, that makes me feel good, because when I approach the job, it's like, okay, at the end of the day, I got to get results. So if my call script, whatever, is not working, let's go ahead and figure out what works. Like, I can't keep doing the same thing. So yeah, so that's good. So here's a scenario. Okay. The scenario, Brian, you're on a stage. It's 5,000 people into the crowd. And this could be obviously an actual, very real scenario that could happen to you probably sooner than later. And they're just looking for their first job in tech. Okay. They're trying to figure out what direction they want to go in job wise. What advice would you give them who are looking for the right company to work for?
Yeah, and it's tricky too. I think I found myself in these shoes out of college where I did that Anheuser-Busch internship. I learned what I didn't like about sales, and I thought, okay, like tech sales sounds interesting, it sounds exciting, but like what technology company, right? There's so many different tech companies and software companies out there, and even though we're in a tougher market here in the beginning of 2023, like there's still a lot of them hiring for entry level sales development, business development type roles.
Yeah.
The biggest advice I would give that I don't think I necessarily received, it kind of naturally happened a little bit, but really the two things I would advise that are most important in terms of what you look for in a company is being excited about what the product is
Okay.
and who you're going to end up selling to.
Okay.
And I'll kind of break down those pieces, but like you're not going to know everything about the product right away, right? You're
Okay.
interviewing, but look on their website, right? Do a little bit of research. Does it seem exciting? Does it seem
Mm.
boring? Just like be honest with yourself. I think when you're naturally more excited about the product and wanting to learn the ins and outs, like that's when you have those really good sales conversations 6 months from them when you get the job because you're excited about it, you're passionate about it, you're that expert on the phone because you've just genuinely wanted to learn more. The
Got
other
it.
aspect is like who you're selling to. Software companies sell to, depends on what their software does, right? Like some will sell to IT professionals, some will
Okay.
sell to sales professionals, some will sell to marketers, could be
Okay.
cybersecurity. So I'd ask that same question again, like, is that someone that would excite you to have conversations with 4 or 5, 6 hours a day potentially? For
Wow.
me, I initially worked at a company that was selling to marketers, and I thought that was really exciting, really interesting. I set out actually to be a marketing major in the beginning and just always thought the field of digital marketing was interesting. So, again, getting back to that, when you're excited, you're interested, and you're just genuinely curious, you're able to have better sales conversations and the day goes by a lot faster. So, I think at the end of the day, if you're passionate about what you sell, and who you sell to, things like the money, the promotion, the career path, the opportunities will follow when you're really giving it your all and you're just excited to be there in the first place.
Nah. Wow. Yeah. That's valuable. I think yeah, man. I think that I stumbled into my job. Not stumbled, but I didn't realize that I was literally landing like the perfect job for me to sell, man. I mean, I work with Intuit QuickBooks, and just I'm interested in business. I'm interested in teaching entrepreneurship in the future. And I literally sell the financial accounting software that pretty much holds a business together.
Yeah.
so so I get to learn every single call. I'm literally talking to like business owners, perfecting my own like financial craft. So
And I think that's the great call out right there is like, there's no right or wrong answer. Like to me, and it doesn't, but to me that could be boring, right? And that's fine. It's going to be different for every single person.
yeah,
On the line in terms of like what excites you in terms of the product and who you sell to. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just taking a deep look inside. And when you spend that 10, 15 minutes doing some research,
yeah.
just try to give your best honest assessment and be real with yourself.
So Brian, now everyone is curious. What product do you represent, sir?
Yeah. So here at Gong, we sell to sales leaders. So I really enjoy that because I get to speak to VPs of sales, directors of sales, and we help analyze their sales conversations happening over Zoom, help happening over phone and email to understand across a team of reps what's working really well and what's not
Oh,
across conversation. So to me, that excites me. I love all things sales technology and getting to
oh,
learn from sales leaders about their team and their struggles and what's working well and what's not. And it's a little bit consultative as well, which I definitely appreciate.
so basically every day you learn in like increasingly more about sales while you're selling.
And we use our own product as well. So there's a lot of, it's very meta. There's a lot of inception going on, but we use our own product to understand what's working when we, talk to other sales folks and learn, what's happening over there as well. So gets you
Wow.
very ingrained in selling and
Wow.
when it comes with it.
Wow, man, you got me so excited for this episode to get released, man. Seriously. All right, so check this out, Brian. So you are like that guy. Now I know you're not going to say that because you're a humble guy, but you're an account executive, you're a mid-market account executive, you're a top performer account executive. You were a sales development representative for 10 months or maybe less than 10 months. It usually may take someone maybe around 14 months to get promoted to an account executive. I'm assuming if they like actually remain longer term SDR to get to the account executive state. Um,
Yeah.
how did that happen for you? Like what kind of state of mind did you have? What set you apart?
Yeah. Great question. So I think that's about a good benchmark too for the audience out there. I think typically to get from sales development rep to account executive takes anywhere from 12 to 18 months on average, right? So
Okay.
for me, the first thing walking in was like understanding the criteria first for like what exactly do I have to do
Mm.
to get from SDR to account executive. My company was I was very fortunate that they laid out the specific criteria, and I'm just making up a number, but they basically told us, hey, you have to book 200 meetings. The second you book 200 meetings, you're eligible to interview for that spot.
Gotcha.
So
Wow.
very fortunate they gave us a specific number. Not every company will give a
You're
specific
right.
number, but ask your leader or ask your manager if you're a
Mm.
current SDR and get a sense, right? At least a range or a gauge of like what metrics would you look for, what other aspects as well, intangible wise. So the first thing I
Wow.
did was kind of learn that metric, right? 200 meetings I need to book, and I then thought, right, if the fastest person ever, which I learned, did it in 10 months at Bright Edge, which is where I worked, I was like, how can I do this in 9 months and 3 weeks? I just literally took out a calculator, right, and basically did the math of what that would mean in terms of meetings set on a weekly basis.
Mm.
And then I continue to break that down off of like, hey, how many activities do I need weekly to set those 10 meetings a week? What does that look like? What does that look
Wow.
like on a daily basis? So I tried to turn it into a little bit of like a science just so that I could kind of gauge if I was on track or wasn't on track. And it's not perfect, right? Some days I had those great days where I came home to my dad, was smiling, was super excited. Some days I went straight to the couch, but it keeps you a little bit on track. So I know, hey, if I did have a tough day today and I set those 0 meetings, Wednesday is going to be a bounce back day, right? I'm going to get
Wow.
after it. Then I need to your point earlier, like I had my why, I had my greater vision of like what I was driving towards. And
Mm.
that was really my approach and ended up accomplishing that in 9 months and 3 weeks, pretty much exactly. So it was an
Wow.
amazing experience.
You so you planned this out and you nailed it in 9 months and 3 weeks. Now I'm just curious, Brian, because for the person who's watching, for you to be like that calculated and planned out, right? So you're breaking down your goal in increments. Were you like that in terms of that type of organization and planning prior to this position? Or is that something that you kind of grew up that way throughout high school?
Great question. I definitely wasn't always like that. I think I've changed and evolved a lot. I think I was just so driven towards like wanting to be the best and maybe like candidly it was just a gap of like in high school I was really big into sports and college I was big into intramurals and then
Okay.
had nothing post grad where I needed some like competitive like vibe to fill that
Nice.
area of my life that I'd gotten used to. And for me, I took that out in sales in a very positive way. So
Nice.
set some of those goals out. And I think those goals are great and it's important to be aware of them. But like even more important than just the goal, I'll use the example with, if there's any NFL fans out there, like every NFL team has the same goal, right? It's win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right? Only one wins it, right? 29 are unhappy at the end of the year. So it's not goals that typically like set us apart. It's the systems behind them of like how we're actually going to hit that goal in a very tangible way. So for me, that was looking at it on a week over week basis and looking at, hey, how many calls do I have to make daily and emails do I have to make daily to hit that weekly goal to then, hit the greater goal as well. So just continue breaking it down maybe a little bit further than is natural, you'd think. And you might have to spend, 15, 20 minutes and be really intentional about that time. But just kind of help keep myself accountable to it. And it was valuable.
Wow. Yeah, I'm ready to go to work tomorrow now, Brian. For sure. Seriously, man. Fired up. It's not, yeah, man. You said it's not about focusing so much on the goal, but it's focusing on the system behind hitting that goal. I love that, man. So I'm not asking for any like actual numbers. Percentage wise, how much did your income increase from year one to like your highest point since being in tech sales?
Yeah. So, and I'm happy to share like rough numbers.
I'm I'm fine with that too.
We're live. We're doing it. So, I think for SDR, like typical range that I hear is somewhere between like 50 and 80,000 for first year. Our company was more around the 70,000 range, but there's a lot of accelerators in place for people that, put up an awesome month, the rich get richer per se, in terms of they'll pay you 1.5 times or 2 times or things like that. So just fortunate, I was actually able to barely crack the 6 figures in my first year, just being an SDR in total.
Nice.
And then as an AE, I think, being a top performing AE, you're usually able to 2.5 to 3.5x what you make as an SDR if you're successful, and if you're a top performer as well. So,
wow. Thank you, Brian. So now, after my wife watches this interview, she's going to be like, so why aren't you like applying a little extra preparation to your job, Justin? No, man, seriously. Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that, because I don't always want to ask, but I want to know. And people who watch want to know. Obviously, at the end of the day, that's like a kind of a main factor of why people are choosing careers, because they're trying to project, what type of income they can provide for themselves. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. So besides mindset, in terms of what has set you apart to get promoted from SDR to get into the AE role to crush it at AE, are there any like skills that you can think of that you've either acquired or had that plays a direct portion to your success?
Yeah, great question. Outside of work ethic, which I think it all starts with, right, in sales, and just time management and using your 8 hours a day better than the person next to you. I think one like very tactical skill I got good at just from practice was email writing. And I think there's a lot of applications for like how writing can really, really help in sales. And I want to start and preface with like, I never thought I was a good writer. I didn't get great grades in English or writing or things like that. It just takes practice and it takes wanting to learn. And it definitely took me, months on months to get good at it. But really the framework that helped me make sure my emails were concise and were value packed and actionable was I would always lead every email from a prospecting sense with some sort of observation. If I was emailing you right now, I might say, hey, Justin, noticed you started at Intuit 4 months ago. How are you liking the role so far?
Nice.
And then my next line is typically some sort of problem that they face. And I'll say something along the lines of new SDRs share that as they join large companies, it's difficult to get ramped up to full speed quickly. Sound familiar?
Wow.
The next line is something around how we help. So I'm not going into my features. I'm not going into anything boring, but I'll just say, we help by, increasing your knowledge and letting you learn from other members on the team that are performing exceptionally well. And then a very soft CTA, like, does this sound interesting to you? The last thing I do with all my emails, and it sounds very old fashioned, but I put a PS at the end. So the reason I do that is this is where I can insert a little bit of, like, I don't want to say fluff, but just like even more personalization. I don't know what the PS actually stands for. Is it postscript? But I think of it as personalization. So I'm say like, hey, Justin, PS, noticed you started Tech Journeys with Atia X amount of years ago. Watched a recent episode, loved it, right? Just something personalized that like screams that this email was only written to you and nobody else in the world, right? If anyone else received that email, it wouldn't make sense. And I think that's how you really stand out as a seller. And if you notice, I this wasn't, scripted or planned, like,
right.
I'm able to do it pretty quickly because I have that framework memorized for emails where I lead with an observation, I describe a problem, I share a benefit from how we help, a short little call to action, like interested, and then I put a PS for a little bit more personalization. So it's how I structure all my emails for both prospecting as well as like even folks that I'm dealing with in a sales cycle of, wanting to interact with more, ask them a question. I always try to lead with value in the form of some observation to kick things off.
All right. So obviously that whole segment of you answering that is going to be extracted, and that's going to be a separate video on the channel. Just FYI. Do you teach that, Brian? I mean, do you teach what you just said, like, to other people through like your platform?
I do. Yeah. So I've shared some of that on LinkedIn. I've done a couple of breakdowns of like how I do those email writings, and then I'll teach folks at my company as well. I think the purpose for like why I have a framework is like emails, like it's difficult, right? It's like sometimes it's like, okay, I'm gonna send you an email. It's like, where do I start if we've never talked before?
Yeah.
So it's helpful for me to just have that like framework built into my head that's like scalable and repeatable, because there's always this balance between email. Like you want to do it fast and quickly, but it also has to be personalized. So it's like, how can you really do both unless you have some like repeatable framework that like says it's personalized, but for me, it kind of takes the thought out of like what I should actually include.
Yeah. So I went through this tech sales like boot camp or whatever when I first got started. And in the template that you just said is like very similar to like how the course, taught you to send an email. That just like trips me out, the fact that you literally like went line by line in the template, like off the dome. Like that is so impressive to me and inspiring. Yeah, nah, for sure.
Gotta memorize it.
Yeah. So Brian, before work, you wake up in the morning. How do you prepare for your work day, sir?
Yeah. It's important. I think like how you start the day is just so critical. And if you're in sales, like you'll find yourself in this nature where there's always something you can do. And I work from home, right? I'm not going to show you all, but my bedroom's right over there, right? It could be very easy for me to just wake up and be like, I've got emails to send, I've got Slacks to respond to, things of that nature. So I think it's key to like start the morning on your own terms first off. And just have a couple of like non-negotiables in terms of like how you want to start and approach your day. So a couple of things for me, I enacted this recently, but like I caught myself at night and in the morning, just kind of like scrolling on my phone, like aimlessly. And I've read a lot about how just like, it's not good for your sleep, having a phone 2 feet from your eyes type of thing. Probably closer. First thing when you wake up and, first thing when you go to bed as well. And, finally just hit the breaking point. I had in October, I was working a deal with an account that was in Europe. So they were 6 or 7 hours ahead. And I just checked my phone at 3 a.m. quickly to look at what time it was. And I got an email on my phone that was basically bad news, like, hey, this deal that you're expecting, Brian, it's not going to happen. Like, this isn't going to work, yada, yada. And I read it at 3 a.m., pretty much, mostly asleep. And I couldn't fall back asleep for the next 3 hours. I was thinking about the email, how to respond. I was mad. I was frustrated. I'm not going to make my number.
Wow.
So for me, that was kind of a breaking point of like, why do I need my phone in my room? So I just enacted a rule that I'm not allowed. No, nothing against my iPhone, but it's not allowed in my bedroom under any circumstance. So I actually bought an alarm clock off of Amazon for $11. I leave it out just on my counter to charge overnight. And I make sure that I don't start my day with notifications that could be positive or could be negative, but I don't want to let somebody else control how I feel, a minute after I wake up. So that's one really
Oh my
small thing that I
goodness.
do. I'll pause there, but
No, go. I'm good, man.
cool.
All right.
The
Yeah,
other
no,
is
go.
I definitely like to just work out first thing in the morning. I've played around with doing that at night versus in the morning, and I think in the morning for me is just when I can like definitely commit to it, and I don't have time sensitive emails to respond to and things going on in my day to day. So just two small things of kind of starting my day on my own terms and getting in a little bit of exercise to kick things off as well.
Wow, man. So, Brian, you just like messed my head up, man. Seriously. Like, you, all right. So, a practice that I have most of the day, my phone is on do not disturb. And it's because, like you said, I don't like being interrupted by surprise. I choose my interruption. So, I choose when I look to see if someone called me or sent me a text message or whatever. But what you just said, for one, now I'm mindful because I like to read from my phone before I go to sleep. And for a while I got away from that and I would like read from an actual paper book at night or whatever, but I kind of stopped doing that. So when you said that you read about how having the phone so close to your face could like mess up your sleep, I'm like, okay, so I took note. But then the fact that you don't have a phone in your room, that that's next level for me. And it's encouraging because I always view myself as kind of like an odd, peculiar person, but I feel like people who are successful and impactful and influential, they obviously have a different behavior, right, than the average person. So yeah, that's edifying. I appreciate that.
The rule just makes it easy for me where it's not like you get 5 minutes or don't check it first thing. It's just out of sight, out of mind, and made it easy for me. It's very black and white. That it's my rule, and I stick to it. So it's if I want to do some reading or something, I'll literally sit on my couch on my phone and do that first, and then go in my room if there's something I was wanting to read before bedtime or something like that. But
Gotcha.
just gotta hold to it. So
So your phone, it doesn't go in your room like day or night, 24/7. It's not allowed in the room.
not allowed in there. Not allowed in there since October. Since I
Bro,
lost.
all right. So, but perspective, and for me, like, and I'm methodically thinking about it. You went from SDR to account executive under 10 months. You hit the objective 9 months and 3 weeks as you intended to from the beginning. You hit the President's Club 4 times. You're going on a paid for 6-day trip to Fiji with your wonderful girlfriend. That, but in context, right? So to have a conversation with someone who's accomplished that and to hear this is what you set into practice, for me, that's something for me not to take lightly. Even if I don't do exactly everything you're saying, but that's like, okay, that's what someone looks like who has that type of success, right? So thank you for that.
Yeah.
In terms of like your work day, so you've prepared for work, you've worked out, now you're starting work, you're firing up the computer. What is typically like the first first things that happen in your workday?
Yeah. Probably tell at this point I'm pretty regimented and systems oriented. So no, I'm not just lackadaisically opening up my laptop, checking Slack, checking dashboards, emails, things like that. I once again I try to like attack and just control what I can control. So first thing I do when I open up my laptop is I actually walk through any like open opportunities or meetings that I've set, and I just go through them one by one. So say I'm a sales development rep and I have 5 meetings that are on the books between today and 2 weeks from now. I go one by one and I just first off check and make sure everything's up to date, CRM wise, the close date's correct. I put it in the right name. I filled out any notes that I might need to. But I'll also ask myself, like, hey, is there anything I can do today on Tuesday, March 7th to advance this deal, right? Or increase the chances that it shows up to that next meeting and they show up excited. So as an example, it could be like, hey, maybe the meeting's tomorrow and I want to send them a confirmation email today. Or the meeting's not till Friday and I want to send a quick like case study off of a similar company and the results they saw to get them thinking about us for a second and get them fired up. Another option might be nothing, right? Maybe I did something the other day and I don't want to, be too active on top of them when there's already a meeting set. So I just go one by one. I basically build out a to-do list on the fly of like, what can I do today to like execute and advance these in any way possible? After I make that to-do list, I do all of them right away. So because I'm able to do kind of like the strategizing and the executing right away, I call them like my plays of the day. Get that out of the way with. I get that done early and any admin stuff. So I really have the rest of the day free to, do those revenue generating activities of calling, of emailing, of anything creative, because I know I've got the hard stuff done with.
Wow. Understood, Brian. The gems that's in this, man. So again, Brian's information is in the description below. And by the way, Brian has a newsletter that you can subscribe to. Definitely be sure to connect with him on LinkedIn. Bro, this is wild, man. I'm like, this is good. End goal. Yeah. So the end goal for you career-wise, Brian, I mean, you're 26, man. You done hit President's Club 4 times already. What's the end goal for your career, man?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think because of like, again, I shared earlier, like who you sell to and what you sell is most important. What I've learned in my roles, I really like having conversations with VPs of sales, of chief revenue officers, because I like the way they think. I like the way they're building their team and architecting their org and growing and hiring and all that stuff. So I've gotten to experience, not at firsthand, but have a lot of conversations with those folks. And I think for me, it would definitely interest me to be a VP of sales or chief revenue officer someday. We'll say 5 to 10 years of a fast growing startup or tech company, and help kind of like build up a team, build up a culture, things like that, and like get in early so I can build a footprint within the organization and help shape it.
Wow, nah, for sure. Well, I mean, obviously that seems very probable. What stands out to me, Brian, is it's the sincere passion for it. I mean, obviously, people go into tech for various reasons. I mean, one of the main reasons I went into tech was because, the income potential. Yep. But then the other side of me is I came from car sales and I was pretty good at it. Like, I wasn't the best, but I was pretty good, but I just wasn't into it. Like, the whole expensive depreciating asset, just mentally, it was always a block there. So for me to get into tech sales, this is like, oh, this is cool. Like, I look at this as an honor for me to be able to like sell business to business. So it is a level of like respect for the position. And like, that's what I see in you. Like, when you're talking to me, that is just so cool. So even when you're saying like, yeah, Ingo, I want to be like a VP or something like that. It's not even like this whole weird ambition. It's just like, yeah, I'm passionate about it. I'm good at it, and like this is how I want to spend like my career, my adulthood. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that's so incredible. My next question was, we already know the answer to it now. I was going to ask you where are you going next on vacation for your next getaway, man, from all of this dedicated work.
Yeah. The next one up is Fiji, which I'm super excited about, and then I'm going to Michigan as well in later summertime, just up north, and doing some cabins with family. So excited for that as well, where we get to just hang out, play cards, play pickleball, things like that. Just get to spend good time together. So
Yeah.
try to do that yearly with some family, and always a highlight.
So you're even strategic about hooking up with family. Tech Journey, y'all caught that, right? It's like I try to do that yearly.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. Recurring.
Man, Brian, this has been awesome, man. I mean, last question I got for you, man. Just outside of work, in general, what are you naturally passionate about?
Yeah, or it's like a what do you like to do for fun question. I do things outside of sales. I promise to all folks listening. But I'm a big sports fan. I alluded to it earlier, but I love football. I'm a Chicago sports fan. Pretty much everything. So I love football. I love watching the Cubs and going to games like that during summertime. Love UFC as well.
Oh,
Always fun to watch. A couple friends into it as well.
nice.
And then yeah, like exercising. That's always a big one for me as well, and spending quality time as well with family, with my girlfriend, watching TV shows, and
Sure.
just hanging out at the end of the day.
For sure, man. Nah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. You must have a special girlfriend, man. Three and a half years. That's pretty lengthy, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty lengthy. That's cool. That's super cool, man. You like working out, Brian? It's like a like it, or you don't just do it just because it's like the right thing to do.
I do. Yeah. I think it's just competitive nature with myself. I'm always playing games with myself, even just if I'm biking or running or lifting weights or things like that, just trying to go a little bit more than I did the last time.
Yeah,
Little games I like to play with myself, even though I'm not training for anything. I'm not making a
yeah.
comeback in sports at age 26 and in sales now cemented. But
No, man, that's cool. Are you like health conscious in your eating? Are you nutritious?
yeah, I'm pretty focused around just nutrition in general, and like making sure I'm drinking plenty of water during the day and eating different types of foods and eating clean and things like that. I think it's not to relate it back to sales as well, but sales is such like a mindset game and an energy game. Like anything you can do that brings
Mhm.
you energy and uh, doesn't drain you, like junk food would, or like being dehydrated does. Like it helps not just your personal life, but really everything you do. So
Wow.
definitely wasn't always this way, but I've just learned more and more over the past couple of years, especially. So
I gotta clean up some things in my life, man.
what
For I got
do we
I'm
got to
kind
cut
I'm,
out?
I'm kind of healthy, but I need to actually be healthy. No, man, it was funny, man. I just asked because I've already kind of put two and two together. This reoccurring correlation of people who are successful in their areas, they work out and they eat healthy. Like I've pretty much figured that out. Almost every successful person I talk to is the common theme of that, man.
Yeah, I think it's some of the discipline of it is just like similar of what it takes to hold yourself accountable and keep the discipline aspect. But encourage for anyone listening as well. Like I wasn't even like that 3 years ago. So it's never too late to change and just make one baby step towards who you want to become the next day. So don't
Wow.
let
Yeah.
perfection get in the way of progress.
Ooh, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. No, I like that,
Leaving
man.
with a
Look,
quote.
look, huh?
Leaving off with a quote.
Yeah, there we go, man. Yeah, I mean, my last thing was I already said I had a last thing, but yeah, it was going to be if there is just anything that's just kind of just dropped on your heart that you just wanted to leave with all of the viewers?
I'll say just like I think in general, like sales and tech like changed my life as a person, and what can bring to my family someday, and how I go about my life in terms of the earnings you can make, the control of your career and autonomy you have as a seller as well. And it's very challenging, but it's super rewarding, and there's nothing like it. And I think even for those that try it for a year and end up making a pivot, the common thing I've heard is that they're glad they did it and tried it, because it built resilience, it taught hard lessons, it showed you what you had to put in terms of effort, and to try to be successful at the end of the day. So just
Wow.
an open book, and my LinkedIn DMs are always open as well if anyone is curious about making a pivot to tech, or wants to chat further.
Wow, man. No, thank you so much, Brian. Thoroughly enjoyed this. And Tech Journey family, thank y'all for tuning in. And I don't say this often, but if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video.